Oh, we'll be silly.
No.
I'm happy to be silly.
Yeah.
Dean, I don't give a flying flip if it's Dylan Moore. You sit your ass at the Shabbos table till 10 o'clock and then you can go do your thing. Ben Key. You can choose anything.
Yeah.
I know.
No, we need a forward.
We need a forward.
I might wait, hold on. I'm not talking. Ben Keys.
Yeah.
What? Why?
I've actually heard the only thing less likely than a North Melbourne win is Chase making a sale at work.
What's that? Backs?
Backs. Yeah.
Mids, forwards.
Harry? Ooh, Adams, 89.
Welcome back to dossntoss, Season 5, Episode 10. I actually got the episode wrong last week. I said 8. And speaking of continuity and the importance of consistency, for the 5th week in a row, I think I have a different panel. But nonetheless, very exciting. We've brought back Brodie from America, and we have a new guest on the show, Coby Felbel. Coby, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Chase. Great to be here, boys.
Brodie,
Yes,
back from the US.
Back, yes.
Tell us about it. You were gone for 3 weeks in the middle
2
of April.
weeks.
I didn't know it was such a popular time for everyone to go away at this time of
Nor
year.
did I. That was my first time ever going away during Easter. It was very fun. I was gone for 2 weeks. 2 days were spent traveling. 1 day in Hong Kong and 9 days in New York. It was great weather, 23 degrees every day, really sunny. New York is a crazy place. There's actually so much going on. Something unique that I really liked about it is that everything is walking distance. So I feel like the locals treat 2Ks as if it's 5K and we'll take the subway, whereas I would want to try and walk. And that's considered far for them. So it's really nice. Everything's walking distance. I see that. I assume Dean would have written down the sporting culture.
Yep.
There are some passionate Knicks fans in New York, as you can imagine. Ben Stiller, Timothy Chalamet, and and Spike Lee are the 3 most passionate celebrities, I'd say. They were all at the game supporting Knicks for the first playoff game they went to against Pistons. Amazing crowd, amazing atmosphere. Not sure if you know Side Talk on YouTube.
Yeah, I've seen that bit of Side Talk.
They were there at the end. I was actually hoping I would see them. I mentioned to a few of our boys, we're going to try and track them down, which I did. Found them at the end of the game, and you have this entire area like screaming like, go New York, and like F Trae Young, F and B, like they're wild. It's literally like Gotham City there. Very fun, very cool place, and good to be back. Good to be back in the rhythm of things.
Yeah, nice. Coby, I'll bring you back into the fold here. dossntoss, have you come across it? What have you liked? What have you disliked, potentially?
Putting me on the spot here, boys. First of all, I think what you've done has been awesome so far. I have had the absolute honour to listen to a couple of your great podcasts. Some of them better than others, we'll say that, but overall very good. Always have a look at the reels on Instagram. So I think big success so far. So I love all the angles that you boys give because it's a little bit different because you don't want to hear the same thing over and over from all the Fox. That's the one thing I hate. You hear like David King speak and he says the same thing, most stupid thing that, I don't know, your young cousin could read up. So I don't know. Honestly, it's good. You hear something a bit different. So I like it.
Carlton fan?
Unfortunately,
Long suffering?
Yes, that's one of those.
What type of Carlton fan are you, would you say?
What are the options?
Well, there's
Have your
the...
extreme, like one-side bias. You've got your extreme but passionate, like Schuster and Jared, but they're not like biased. You have your mediocre, subpar, and then just you've given up.
Yeah, going through school, I probably was one of the optimistic ones that, 2016, 17, 18, 19, I'm like, yeah, we're just 1 or 2 years away. We're almost there. It's in touching distance. You kind of, I don't know, get brought down to earth a little bit. So when 2023 came around, I probably was just about ready to give up, especially after 2022.
What would that mean? Like give up? Like
Give up meaning like obviously still watch the games, but you just won't watch with any kind of hope. And then, we start doing well, but it's against like shit teams. So you're like, all right, well maybe or something. Then that 2023 final series was probably my, as a Carlton fan, greatest football moments. just because that's all I've witnessed. It's a bit sad to say a semi-final win's the best I've witnessed, but it is.
Same, actually. In terms of live.
You would have seen it, Granny.
Well, I wasn't there.
Ah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't watch it live either. But,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Sure.
as a Carlton fan, that was, I guess, the proudest I've been. And then last year was just horrible. I mean, I know we played finals again, but just the hype that we had going in, so underwhelming. And everyone gave the excuses of injuries, and the exact same thing just happened this year. So it's almost like, when will it end? Like, when will the point that we stop being a club that is almost there? Because I think we've been in that almost there position for a few years. I'd even put 2021 into the bracket. Yes, we didn't make the 8, but you saw like 3-quarter games. So for 3 quarters, we beat the opposition, and then for 1 quarter, they kick 7 or 8 goals and we lose. So we've just almost been there for a few years, and it's just frustrating.
You've had a very successful junior footy career, co-premiership teammates with Brodie.
That's one of my biggest claim to fame.
Probably
Really?
one of the best skippers I've ever had.
Captain as well.
Yeah, he was captain, extremely passionate, worked really well with our coach as well. They had a great relationship. I love how seriously he took it for it being under 12s reserves, under 14s reserves.
Div 4.
Div 4, and it was probably one of my favourite years of football, to be honest.
I don't believe we are actually premiership teammates. Coby and I played a bit of cricket together. Were you there in the under 15s grand final win?
I was playing 2s, mate.
Oh, sorry. But then I think we played in 2 grand final losses together in
2
under
losses,
17s. Yeah.
All played in school cricket.
Yes,
Yeah.
we
That was
did.
good fun.
Yeah.
We did.
My biggest cricketing claim to fame.
Sure.
So Chase is obviously the best cricketer out of all of us by country mile. And I reckon you got out for 3 runs in the one game, and that game I made a 50. So that's my biggest claim to fame.
Wow, I don't remember that
Yeah.
game. I'll
Maybe
give it
maybe
to you.
just made it up. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Coby just telling fibs there. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'll give it to you. And then also, is it true you were the Jewish live captain at Scopus?
Yep.
Which Dean took over. Dean, we're 3
There
minutes
we
in.
go.
Haven't said a word.
Graciously passed over the pin to Dean.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
sure he outdid us.
It was a
I
good.
actually remember it was everyone was doing the handshake, and you two went in for the hug, I believe,
Yes, big statement.
and everyone started laughing.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
yeah,
claim
it
it.
was yeah.
That's always the moment, like when the captains switch over and you see how they interact, especially when it's potentially an uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I used to love
very
that
hot.
assembly. It was always like, what's going to happen? Like,
No, well, the awkward one is,
handover.
like the 2 guys generally, and then when the guy goes to the girl, that's, you don't
Yeah.
really know her, and that's when you get a little bit of the awkward moments.
Yeah.
wow, there was one where like it was a tall girl, small guy,
Ah.
and it was great. It was great spectator.
Yeah, I think some of the listeners that aren't at Scopus just would have no idea what we're trying to describe. Coby, not just a passionate junior footballer, you've now taken your footy career abroad. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience playing footy in Israel? We had Terry Degani on earlier from Footy Abroad. Is it true that he started up the Tel Aviv Cheetahs?
It
Or
was the
coached them?
inaugural coach of the Tel Aviv Cheetahs.
Yeah, nice. Have you been in contact with him at all?
Just as a passionate Carlton
Yeah.
fan, yeah.
So tell us about your experience there. What's the scene like over there?
Well, I can't comment too much about when Terry was there because I didn't have so much of an experience at that point in time. But I know right now we've built an absolutely incredible, little organization. So AFL Israel under the AFL Europe bracket. So we compete in all the European competitions. And it's unbelievable. We right now have a men's national team. We have the Tel Aviv Cheetahs, which is like the local team. And we've just started up a women's national team for the first
Wow.
time, which is unbelievable. They're going in a couple of weeks to Budapest to play in a tri-series against Hungary and Croatia.
Wow.
And the guys are going to Amsterdam in July to compete in the Euro Cup with 15 other countries.
Who would have thought? I feel like there's such little information on that no one in Australia would know about.
Yeah.
So cool.
Well, I didn't really know much about it either before I went over,
Yeah.
but it's been awesome just to get involved in trainings twice a week. Like it's full on, and yeah, another important thing, most of the guys there are actually Israeli guys.
Yeah.
The common misconception is that they're all Aussie expats, but I'd be in the minority of Aussies there.
Really?
Everything's done in Hebrew. The culture's Israeli. It's real like a Israeli organization that's just taken influence.
How do they go? What's the quality like?
Honestly, the amount they've improved in the last, I'd say, 6 months has been incredible. They last year finished 6th in Europe out of 15, 16 teams, which is very impressive, and only gotten stronger. I mean, the quality of guys that I'm comparing to Ajax, there'd be a few that play firsts, a lot that play seconds, and a lot that play like thirds. Like really good quality.
Much better than your under 12 Div 4 Resi's team.
We actually had a couple great.
No
we had a few A's players drop down for the granny, and I think he won.
Benji Spark.
Yeah, Aaron Osley won the Norm Smith. I reckon.
It's a bit of
Really?
He's currently playing seniors. We had J-Man tackling everyone.
Yeah, it's true.
Kobe, you brought a few props, a couple of the jerseys.
Yeah. No, I'll show the one.
Yeah,
This is
I
the
mean,
one.
good for the YouTube. Obviously, we are audio, but most of our views, to be honest, come through
So
YouTube.
this is the new AFL Israel women's jersey.
Show
Yeah,
the back
crazy.
as well. It's awesome.
Show the design.
That is very cool.
So
Yeah.
25,
awesome
Tom McDonald.
design.
Take
And-
lessons, Gold Coast.
Yeah. Oh, that's another
Yeah, you
story.
can
in its
clearly
own, but-
see the logo, which is really nice.
But yeah, it's been awesome. I mean, we're so excited for the women's. It's it's something that one of the other guys, Shir Maran, started. He is an absolute jet on the field, but also off the field. He basically, with his own passion, just said, you know what, why is there no women's team? Let's get it up and running. And almost single-handedly, we're now getting 15 to 20 women, most of them Israeli, at AFL trainings. It's honestly unbelievable.
Ian, let's go visit in July and Chase if you get some free time.
Yeah, sure, 100%. I mean, I'll be playing cricket, but definitely someone should bring a footy. Otherwise, we should go down. Although my footy career is kind of over, so I'm not too sure about that.
Yeah.
Kobe, I remember back in the day at school when we'd have footy days.
Yeah.
And all the supporters would like group up and they'd play all the theme songs.
Yeah.
And I know you're a Carlton fan, but you know, footy day, Carlton theme song's playing and you're nowhere to be seen. But all of a sudden they're playing the Gold Coast theme song and a lone Coby Felbel is running out to the Gold Coast song. Can you please explain?
Yeah, you've called me on that one. Well, as you know, as one of the big Jewish schools, we got a lot of Carlton supporters, and I noticed for all the previous years that we get no love for Gold Coast or GWS. So I thought, Gold Coast seems good enough. Let's run out with them. And also, I won't lie, I had a bit of a man crush on Gary Ablett at the time. I used to tell people he was my dad because he kind of looks similar at some point to my dad. Maybe it's just the bald head.
Yeah,
I don't
just
know.
the bald head.
I don't know. In my opinion, he's probably the greatest of all time. So I think maybe that's just loving the greats. But yeah, I was obsessed with him. Everything. I had all the posters up in my room. Like it was
Really?
Carlton and Gary Ablett. It wasn't even Gold Coast. It was just Gary Ablett. So I loved him. And
Ever met him?
I've got a terrible story about how I didn't meet him.
Go on.
I was with my cousin in the Gold Coast. He went out. He asked if I wanted to come with him to a cafe. I was like, no, I'm just tired. I'll sleep in a bit longer. He doesn't watch footy whatsoever. He goes to the cafe, sees some guy taking pictures with everyone. He's like, all right, we'll just take a picture with him. Like, if everyone's doing it, he must be famous. Comes back, he goes, oh, look, I met someone. Do you know who he is? Like, everyone's taking photos with him. Gary Ablett.
Wow.
We go back to the cafe. He's nowhere to be seen. So
Oh.
it was one of the saddest days of my life, but
The one that got away.
the one that got away.
But they do say never meet your heroes. You could have been.
Do they say that?
They
They
do.
do.
I think it's a thing, yeah.
Yeah. I've met him before.
And how was he?
I remember it was just a quick photo. I felt bad. His arm was in a sling.
Yeah.
After
Post-
McAfee?
Brett McCaffer, the dog.
yeah.
Yeah, I was there for that game.
Yeah. dog.
Rebel Sport, Chadston.
Yeah.
So probably a bit of a hot spot for him. He'd want to get out there quick.
I've seen him at Chadson in the parking lot actually once.
Seems like I gotta hang around Chaston a bit
Yeah,
more.
not the place you want to be if you're famous. There's a lot of traffic there. But let's talk a bit of footy from the week. Now, we didn't really start with a bang. Like, the two primetime games were very average. We had, the Essendon North game was close, but
They didn't do themselves any favours, these teams.
No.
Because you get this primetime slot as a not so primetime team. Essendon, North, St Kilda, Freo, not St Kilda's fault. And now no one would want to turn on the TV again to watch those teams on a Thursday or Friday night. But the first game was at least close, so it was watchable, but really disappointing to not see North get up.
yeah, it's enough with honourable losses. I actually saw Jake Robel the day after. Brodie, I was at Blitz Bar, you know it to be seen. And he was saying like, yeah, like we'll take it, like honourable loss. I'm like, no, Gobbies, like, you know, that's not an honourable loss. Like you got to start winning those games. But he will get a mention actually later in the show. Jake?
Also, when you're going badly, like North have the last few years, and like we did Carlton in the late 2010s, early 2020s, you do get into the habit of just accepting honourable losses. And I reckon it's probably the worst thing as a fan base, but also for the culture of your footy club, because you have to at some point just bring wins somehow. Almost doesn't matter how at some points. You have to bring some kind of winning culture, and you have to just accept that anything below winning isn't good. Like an honourable loss doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. You don't get the 4 points. You don't get any experience in how to win a game. So you get drawn into that a little bit when you're not going so well, and I think they have to stamp it out as quick as possible.
No one remembers honourable losses. Like when we look at North Melbourne, I think they've won 16 games in 5 or 6 years. No one's saying, oh, but they had like 15 honourable losses. No one remembers that. They only remember the wins. Ultimately, it's a WNL industry, AFL. So that's the game you got to start to win.
Yeah, I think Jake, fan of the podcast, guest of
Friend
the
of,
podcast, and friend, Jack,
Big
yes,
footy.
would be in the minority of fans, because I was looking through comments and like trying to see what the North fans were saying, and none of them were happy. So I don't think any of them would have been okay with that. Maybe just because it was the day after that he was fine with it. But I think North have expected themselves to turn around, especially after the Melbourne game. That was the most disappointing, because the tide seemed like it had turned after a big 10-goal win against a decent team at the time, and now you're back to where you were, and we're 8 rounds in.
Yeah. Don't want to be too despondent on North Melbourne and kick them while they're down. Then we had Saints Freo on the Friday. That was a terrible game. Freo, I don't know what to say about them. Like, they'll probably respond against Collingwood to some extent this week, back at home.
Collingwood 5-day break, and they're going to be resting players as well.
Yeah, but like, what? Like, they were so bad. And I let's not be silly to myself a couple of weeks ago with Kai about how I said Freo were my premiership favourites. And like, yeah, that's a stupid call. And I'm losing credibility every week.
Wow.
But like their list, like, on paper, it's like there are no holes on their list, really. Like, what else do they need in that team? Their midfield's great. Defense, great. Their forward line's now taking shape. What is it? The coaching? Like, it has to be. Where is it? Mental fragility.
Yeah, I've got no idea really. Like, on paper, they're a top 4 team in the comp.
Saints were good though, and like people were saying that, you know, like the matchup was terrible. Like, Saints couldn't do anything about Freo's performance or lack of. They were very impressive. They scored 90 odd points, and they're not going to be apologetic for keeping an opposition to 35 points, I believe, from Freo. But yeah, once again, Saints, don't get too excited. Wanted to shout out Hugo Garcia, Dean, your man. Comeback game, got sprayed by Ross Lyon last week and had a very impressive game and kicked the goal at the end as well. Now, Hugo Garcia, great comeback game, but it wasn't the best comeback of the week. Last week, Shag, we gave a bit of flack.
Do you know who he is?
Oh, yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, so yeah, he gets a mention here and there, just because. Nah, I love it. I love getting around
Does
Shag.
he know that he gets mentioned?
Yeah,
Oh,
he
no.
did. Yeah.
Means he's tuning into the potty, boys.
So last week we gave him a bit of flack, just because he was being weird. But he responded. Friday night we were playing games in this room, playing a game called Chameleon. Do you know that game, Coby?
Can't say I do.
Okay, so Dan, do you want to explain Chameleon?
Can you?
Yeah, sure. So basically, everyone is given like a chart, except for one person who's the chameleon, and then you work out a word on this card, and then everyone goes around and has to say a word relating, or say a word or a phrase relating to the word. But the chameleon doesn't know the words; they have to try and blend in. Now, Shag was chameleon the first 3 games, and he didn't, or he won essentially in each of the first 3 games. One of the words was Mo Farah, and Shag went second,
Yeah.
and like the first person didn't give it away, and Shag says Liverpool for his word, which I'm like, okay, sure, like Mo Salah, like I assume he's referring to, and he was just a complete guess. So Shag, he loves when we give him his flowers.
He does.
So flowers to you, Shag.
Well done, Shag.
But you did get a bit lucky. So Shag, looking forward to seeing what you've got installed this week.
Yeah. Also,
What does that have to do with Hawthorn?
No, I'm just saying, like, you know, Hugo Garcia, come back, Shag, come back.
I thought you were going to relate to his call about a Hawthorn player or something. I was waiting for the execution.
Nah.
Anyway, well done, Shag.
Nice, Shag. Didn't you about to say something?
No, well, I spoke to him at the footy, and every time he's mentioned on the podcast, he thinks it's coming from me. Like, he always relates this, like, oh, why me? And like, I'm like, speak to Chase.
It's not
like,
out of, like, spite. Like, it's not out of...
No, but
No, it's out of love.
I don't think I've ever mentioned him. It's always Chase who somehow brings him in every episode.
It's all love. No, I just feel like if I was a listener to this podcast, I just would be very fascinated and potentially amused by this Shag.
Yes. But in all seriousness, Hugo Garcia cops a spray, bounces back the week after. Jack Ginnivan 3 weeks ago got dropped, goes to the VFL, has 4, kicks 4, has 20, comes back into the AFL. This week had 23 and 2 goals. Do players need to be getting held? Do players need to be held more accountable for low standards than to just keep playing them each week? Is the question.
Sometimes I feel like they get a bit comfortable. Especially if you're winning as well. You kind of think like we're winning, so what's the problem? But yeah, I definitely think they do get comfortable. I can see it as someone that plays myself. It can be hard, especially to find form for a small forward. But yeah, I feel like it would make sense.
Yeah, having selection pressure and selection, also integrity from the coaches, I think super valuable for the club. I mean, you don't want, as Brodie said, guys getting comfortable, but also allow the guys that are putting in all the effort, maybe that are playing in the twos, give them the opportunity. If they're putting in the extra effort and they're going the extra mile, then I think they should be given opportunities. And we've seen some of these guys this year have an impact. I mean, some of these first-year players, I mean, I think they're getting better as the years goes on. But also for you in Melbourne, Chase, like Harvey Langford, going very nicely.
He is,
and he's been given the opportunity.
And he got dropped after the first week.
Yep.
Didn't do much in the twos, but yeah, like you said, selection integrity. Just because you're a top 10 pick doesn't mean you're going to get games straight away. And since then, he's probably been averaging disposals in the 20s and been a very solid contributor in his first year. So it definitely works. And maybe we're in a bit of a softer era in terms of giving sprays and criticizing players. And, we want to make sure we're looking after players. But yeah, like sometimes, being authoritarian and potentially being a bit harsh in what is a very harsh competition, it's what's needed.
Not necessarily, though, with statistics. Like, if a guy doesn't get your 50 touches or whatever, you don't have to drop him. That's not what I'm saying.
Playing roles.
I mean more just doing the role for your team.
Yeah, 100%. I wanted to touch on the Dogs as well because for the last few years, they've been very up and down. They've been very exciting. They've let fans down. Potentially, we're now getting to the stage where they're actually trustworthy, the Dogs. They may get in the top 4. They may actually be a premiership contender. They're doing all this without Sam Darcy over the last couple of weeks. Is there any trust that you can actually have in Luke Beveridge and his team right now?
Not yet for me.
Really?
I anticipated a smashing of Port. I think that's exactly what the Bulldogs do. This is why we get excited for them. This is why we think, here they go, they're going to be top 4 contender.
They beat the Giants the week before. They had a very good first half against Brisbane. They mashed it against Collingwood.
Like, the one difference for me would be that they usually do this towards the end of the year and have a bad start. So the fact they've had a good start is promising, but I'm not ready. It's round 8. I'm just hesitant, but I'm always a bit more apprehensive than the others.
Okay. I think potentially their backline may be an issue at some point, but Rory Lobb is in a revelation. Liam Jones got squeezed out, but guys like O'Donnell, he's playing very well. You've still got Darcy potentially may come back in later, and also Cody Waitman. That's probably their 2 best forwards. But I'm not sure if Cody Waitman is going to return. Does anyone know what his injury is? Some knee issue? Kobe?
Couldn't tell ya.
You just looked at me like you were going to tell me. Because I think it's some genetic problem with his knee, and like he's got his joint of his knee is like different or abnormal to the regular human.
Wow.
And
Know the answer.
no, but I don't know what it
Dating,
is.
bro.
No. I don't.
This is Miss Stocker, all your PE stuff helping you, isn't it?
Not really. I don't know the
Biomechanics and shit.
There you go. Sports
anatomic
science.
terminology. I don't know, but I know that it's something to do with his knee joint isn't right. But as long as he keep making art and
Yeah,
looking
and
forward to see
shoes and
Flea back.
stuff.
Yeah, shoes. Shout out to shoes. Who did he do
Gave a
collab with?
shout out to the Ajax team. Did you see
Did
on
he?
Instagram?
Who, Cody Wayman?
Yeah.
Good
The
for
All-Star team. He just gave him a shout out.
Yeah.
Brodie, were you there on Saturday night?
I was there.
I didn't watch much of the game at all. Unfortunately, I was watching the Melbourne West Coast game, which I didn't want to.
That's so hard.
Very, very stiff.
You'd be in the minority though. I reckon a lot of Melbourne fans would have chucked on the other game after a while.
Oh, at least the last quarter. Come on.
I watched the kick after the siren. Like when I saw that there was a kick after the siren, I changed it, and then I went and watched the highlight in the last 5 minutes, and it was just. I just knew looking at the scores, like this is such a good game, and I'm missing out.
It was a classic Collingwood v Geelong. It was always going to be a close game. Even when we went down by 16 points with 90 seconds left, we had to tease and make it as close as possible. The script was almost too perfect, as you would have mentioned. Jack Crisp marking the ball basically on the siren. I was jumping for joy with Ezi. I thought, like, Marston, man, he's got it secured, no problem. He's not going to miss this. If there's anyone I want kicking the football, what is it? Aliens shooting laser beam.
Really?
I'm taking Jack Crisp.
Really?
He sells. It wasn't even close.
Yeah.
It was like McGovern. So, anyway, I was really happy with our performance. I don't want to say, after that, the whole North thing, honourable
A bit
loss.
different, a bit
Yeah,
different.
very different. We've got a quick turnaround and we're meant to be resting players, so it should be interesting. But it was a great game to watch, especially as a mutual support. Like if anyone was a mutual supporter watching that, they would have loved that. But yeah, that's it to be. Oh, Ezzy got a footy cards at halftime and pulled a Pat Dangerfield style wild.
Wow.
Yeah,
I would.
it was. We were pretty excited that game. There was a lot to cheer for.
Nice. From the fans, I put the question out this week. Who is your club's most important player? And I also want to know which team some of the fans went for, because we had a question the other week. I said, like, describe how your team's going in 3 words, and I couldn't match the 3 words to the team. This is all about being cultured, because as a Collingwood fan, as a Hawthorn fan, Carlton, Melbourne, you don't really know, who's the most important to the rival team's fans. So let's start with Noah. He says Dacos. Could be Josh. Could be Nick.
Got to assume he's talking about Nick here.
Probably Josh. And then Chook says Lipinski. Chook. I hate Lipinski. And
Yeah, but it's coming from fantasy.
yeah, but he's
dude.
such a preseason merchant.
Yeah, but Chase.
Nah, Chase.
Come on.
Let's
Sorry.
not be silly.
0 in the last quarter as well. And I
Wait,
lost
did you
by-
ask for most important player or most important players? Because the next one's got 3.
Yeah, I know. No, I asked
One,
player.
agree.
No,
Disagree.
his name is not Agree. It's A and then Gree. Or it could be Agree. I don't know.
Greasy?
No, that's Creasy.
Oh,
That's
right.
Creasy. So he's written on one response Heaney and Warner, and then in a different response Rampy.
You may as well just name the entire team.
Yeah, so you may as well put Gordon and Riley Bias in there as well. Aiden Karp says Cal Wilkie. I think somebody else said Cal Wilkie. Oh yeah, Bem said Cal Wilkie as well. St Kilda. He is very underrated. Wilkie.
So
All
Bem's response, for those who can't see, is best.
No one can see it in. It's our run sheet.
I know. Best Nas,
Nazaya.
Nazaya. Most important Wilkie. The question was most important player.
People really love deeming away.
Nah, shout out Bem.
Maybe specifically say next time.
No, I feel like it's pretty specific. But shout out Bem. Obviously, Creasy and I had a bit of back and forth last week, and Bem stood up for me. So it was the only one. And he's actually got his own podcast, Bem, with somebody, I don't know. I think it's with Swerve Media, actually. So they have a nice setup there. I had a geese of some of the clips, so he looks like he's doing a good
Do
job.
we quickly want to say who we think our most important player is?
Yeah, sure. Let's just finish. So Ari, shout out Ari, says Nank the Tank, Richmond. I'd probably go Vlosten for Richmond. Maor says obviously Max Gawn.
Maor's an underrated fan. He listens every
Yeah.
week.
He just texted me before saying your call on Matt Rowell, saying that he's dropped off significantly. So he,
Got him for listening,
yeah,
wasn't
keeps
he?
me accountable more, which is good. Max Gawn, I mean, I'm not going to have the argument over Corn being the GOAT ruck, but I think 35 disposals says quite a bit. Stiglitz says side bottom, Brodie.
No.
And we already ran out Bems. So yeah, sure. Coby, you start. Carlton, most important player.
I think it's pretty evident from the last couple of weeks that it's Harry Mackay. And
Really?
I don't think it's even close at this point. When he's firing and he's taking marks along the boundary as that like outlet kick, we just look like a different team. Last year when he was playing, it looked like a different team. And yeah, I reckon when he's played this year and when he's been on, obviously, I think we look like a completely different side. I don't know if you guys have any different thoughts about that. I mean, guys like Cripps and, Kerno, Walsh, maybe make the argument about Wiedering. I'd accept that as well. But they're in a way replaceable. We have guys that can play those roles, but no one does what Harry Mackay does on Carlton, and there's not many in the league that do it either when he's on.
It's more the key positions that are harder to replace.
Yeah, sure.
That's what we've emphasised on as well in the past few months.
Do you think the answers to the question most important player are because some of these players have missed significant amount of time where you've got to see their absence, such as a Harry Mackay, you get to see his absence.
Definitely.
Whereas someone who plays every game, maybe Cripps, you don't know what it's like without him.
Yeah, but you also look, and I try to think, if we didn't have Cripps today, how would we have gone? If we didn't have Mackay today, how would we have gone? Or if they're not playing at their best, how would we go? And I feel like if you take Cripps out the side, obviously it has an impact. He's one of the best players in the competition. But a guy like George Hewitt will get 20 contested possessions instead of Cripps getting 20. Yeah. And then a guy like Chero, instead of having 5, will have 10. And I think we'd find a way to cover for him. Yes, we'd get beaten a little bit worse around the ball, but I think in terms of our forward structure along, the entire field, I think Mackay has a bigger impact for us.
I'm going to say Darcy Cameron, and I think that's all I need to say.
All you need to say, really.
Yeah, unless you want me.
Elaborate. Feel free.
Yeah, I think he is the most consistent player on the team alongside Nick Dacos. Very hard position to replace. You can't just bring in, your best ruckman from VFL and hope for them to have 25 hit outs, run around the ground, take marks.
Darcy forward.
Move up forward, and I think he's like people have caught, the fans have caught on. He's so well respected at the club, and that's why I've chosen him. Yeah, without a doubt.
Fair. He's having a very good season and will probably challenge Gawn for All Australian, I reckon. Dean?
Yeah, for Hawthorn, I'm going Will Day. I think that's what gave me that thought, was not having Will Day in the final. Would we have won with Will Day? I think so. And now not having Will Day, we haven't been in form, even though we've been winning. I think Day just adds an element of class. He's a superstar, can do it all. He was resting forward the last few games before his foot injury. And the others would probably have to be like a Sicily or a Newcomb, and maybe even a key forward like Cal Shadir. We've really missed him. Like, it hasn't shown as much, but come big games when it's just Chol up there, it really shows how much you've missed that other guy. And Deer from game one was just a presence in the air, like rarely got outmarked.
You and Agree might get along, naming the whole team.
Sticking up for Agree.
I'm tossing between Max
Tossing,
Gawn.
you reckon?
Yeah, I'm tossing between Max Gawn and Cozy Pickett, but
Come on.
I've seen they're both players that miss games. Cozy due to suspension. I think probably Max Gawn, just because he's our best player. But our forward line without Cozy Pickett and our forward connection is just completely different. Like, we look like two different sides. Like, we're the worst forward connection side to like below average. It's really different. It's different structure without him. I think he just changes all that. Now, we had a question from Alon who decided not to answer the question, but I love his question. So obviously there's a bit going around over socials about 100 men versus a gorilla, who would win? But Alon's mixed it up here. He said, which AFL team would have the best chance against the gorilla? Now, before I answer, does anyone have any preliminary thoughts?
Wait, is this to win a game of footy, or is this
Nah, just battle to the death.
All right, gotcha.
44 guys, entire list, not best 22.
Oh, gotcha.
Bless you.
Bless you, Brodie. And any preliminary thoughts?
How can you? It's like you got to look at the height and weight of,
Yeah, well, you're
of
looking
each
for
team and then average it out.
Sure. So I've actually thought this through. So initially I was thinking like maybe Richmond, Noel Bolter, and
Who's the heaviest team?
Crazy.
Noel Bolter and Pressy as well.
Yeah, love a bit
Then
of
I was thinking like,
Hammies will.
yeah, he'd get a soft tissue injury. Now I was thinking like North, like Paul Curtis is pretty strong, Zerha, Tristan
No way
Sherry.
you can bench 350.
250 or something.
No.
No.
160.
Oh, that's a big difference.
I was thinking of pounds.
Thank you, Dean. But the team that is going to defeat the gorilla is the Adelaide Crows. And I'm going to tell you exactly how they're going to do it.
Thought.
Yeah, just wait. So first of all, Alex Neil-Bullen is just the best role player in the game. He's going to play a sacrificial role. He's going to go up to the gorilla, taunt him, and he's got the aerobic capacity to just run away from him. I don't think the gorilla's super smart. I'm not too sure. The gorilla's going to chase after Alex Neil-Bullen, okay? Then you've got guys like Mike Helaney, Lockie Scholl, Wayne Miller, really evasive players. Now, they're also going to die, but they've just got to try and get the gorilla off balance. Once someone's off balance, doesn't matter how strong or heavy you are, you're very susceptible to an attack. Then we've got guys like Riley Thilthorpe, Taylor Walker, Darcy Fogarty. They've just got to go for the back. So all these little guys are distracting him. Joshua Shelley, Isaac Rankin. Rankin maybe could sing and maybe potentially distract the gorilla.
Jeez.
But then Mr. ATAR 99.75, Riley O'Brien, the smartest player in the comp. The brains. Speaking of brains, he's got the reach to go for the gorilla's head. So that's going to be not the knockout punch, but that's going to get the gorilla dazed. So he's getting hit from behind by the three key forwards. Then Riley O'Brien comes in, hits his head, and then we don't even need the full list. It's going to take one more guy to end this gorilla. Any guesses?
Have you said Thilthorpe?
Yep, one more guy to end this gorilla, to land the knockout punch.
Dan Curtin.
No.
Ben Keys.
No.
Yeah.
He's
got-
running into an open goal against us.
So we've got
Fogarty
the
the
gorilla
dad.
off balance. He's a little bit dazed. He's
Fogarty the
got a
dad.
sore back. You've got guys like Sam Berry who's putting their weight in there. But the guy who's going to land the knockout punch is the guy with the broadest shoulders and the broadest back.
James Wallace.
James Borlase
Very
is going to
good,
finish
very
off this
good.
gorilla. And we don't even need the whole list. Kieran Strawn can remain on the inactive list and the rest can sit on the pine
He's
because
built like a
that's all we
gorilla,
need.
so it makes sense.
Yeah.
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 I love.
Can't wait for you to clip this.
Yeah, I was shocked where you were going at the start. Like, you think of Adelaide's a good shout. Like, they've got a tall forward line, like Fogarty, Thilthorpe, Walker. And then your first name is Alex Neil-Bullen.
Role player.
And your next name is Scholl. And then the next one was Mike Helaney.
Yeah.
And then we get to the big boys. I love it. Very well done, Chase.
Thank you. Thank you, Alon, as well. Haven't heard from him a bit before this, so welcome back to From the Fans.
I like that he keeps us on our toes.
He
He
does.
doesn't do it every week. He waits, and then he just goes for it.
Was
Well
his-
done.
Was
Well
his
done,
birthday
Alon.
the other week?
Birthday?
Yep.
Actually, Capri's birthday today, so she'll
Oh.
like that shout out.
Happy birthday.
to Capri. Doss's deliberation, the question of the week, and I had to ask Harry for permission to.
The reason some people are tuning in.
The reason people are tuning in. It's about Kane Corn, so not necessarily a specific question, but Kane Corns has come after North Melbourne. North Melbourne have blacklisted Kane. Where do each of you stand on this topic?
You know what I think? For every negative take that Kane Corns is going to have, he should have a positive take as well, because I feel like he just comes into these commentary sections or whatever, and even on social media, it's all negative. The guy has the most crap outlook when it comes to, you know, when he's dishing it out, bullying these players. I want to see him praise more players.
Except for Horn Francis.
Except for Horn Francis, which is just biased. And yeah, I want him to change his outlook a bit, because I've never personally been a big fan of him. I'm I'm someone that wants to see more positive stuff in the media, but I know it doesn't get the same amount of clicks, which is unfortunate because people react more to negativity. So that's how I see it.
Am I allowed to disagree? Just I know we're all
Go for
big
it.
fans
We've
of Harry
got
Sheasel, but
we've got the bias, so I'd love to hear the
No,
other.
I've got a bit of bias because I love the man. He's a
Yeah.
great man, Harry Sheasel. Well done, mate.
All right, enough of the glaze.
Enough of the glaze. That's enough. You're right. First of all, you don't have to be a primary teacher saying for every one negative, one positive. That's just irrelevant. They're in the media. That's their job.
When does he ever say anything positive?
No, doesn't have to say anything positive. It's not his job to say positive things. That's for the coach to say if he wants to give him a bit of a rub.
No, I think there's plenty of positive things that goes on each week, and he totally skips over it.
I tend to be a bit of a Kane Corns fan, and this started actually out of his anti-Sam Walsh sentiment a few years back. Just because he was willing to say what people weren't willing to say and what people weren't prepared to say. And I think as a journalist, you have to be brave to do that. And I think he does a lot of that. And I tend to agree with a lot of things that he has to say. I love the way Harry goes about his footy. Could he potentially be more damaging on the footy field? I think he would probably say he could as well. I don't think that's too much of a ridiculous statement to make. How he goes about it, though, I think he could... I don't know. He obviously does it because that's his job to be a bit antagonizing and whatnot. So obviously he could handle it better. As of what he says, though, I think a lot of it's legitimate, and I think everyone recognizes it as relatively legitimate to some extent.
Yeah, so I think you've hit the nail on the head with he's prepared to say what others aren't. I myself listen to him twice a week for 2 hours each time, Monday and Friday mornings on SEN. And that's because I enjoy listening to his takes and I find him very entertaining to listen to, even if I disagree. However, a byproduct of his strong opinions is that he's going to miss the mark. And what I don't like is that rarely has he apologised when he's missed it drastically. I think there comes a time where you can miss the mark and that's okay, but... sometimes you do just need to say, all right, I missed the mark, I'm sorry. And this Harry call, I haven't seen one person agree with the take. We don't need to go into why the take is wrong. I think everyone agrees he's wrong.
Kane's wrong?
Kane was wrong with the graphics and with the coining of Sheezy Ball and that he went too far.
Yeah, agree with
and with quantifying Harry's impact through score involvements in the second worst team in the comp.
Yeah, it's cheap.
I think, and clipping, now I've gone into it, but clipping the 3 touches, which were the worst out of the 30, but whatever. I think this was one which deserved an apology, and Harry did not deserve to cop this. If Kane wants to go at North, but don't go at the 20-year-old doing everything he can in all facets of his life to get the best output of those 2 hours on the weekend.
And it's funny because Harry's always been a big fan of Kane Corns. I've had these discussions with him well before. Like 2-3 months ago as well, and he always backs him up. So,
Mind you, I agree with all that, and I even go to the extent that I agree with what North Melbourne did after. If they're not happy with one of the reporters and how they've gone about it, I'm absolutely comfortable with them saying we're not going to deal with him. And I think more clubs should take that on board. If they're not willing to put their players up with a reporter or a journalist that they think is going to do them more harm than good, then I'm well and truly comfortable with that.
Yeah, and Kane Corns, obviously, I know he wants the clicks, and that's why he gets paid well, and that's why he gets the job at Channel 7. And look, you've won here. We've given him the airtime, but I don't think the value of him on this podcast is bigger than the value of us potentially calling something out. I think sometimes when you're right doesn't mean you're right. And what I mean by that is I agree with a lot of his opinions. I think they have merit, but the way he executes them and the context behind them is misunderstood. In this situation, obviously, I disagree with Harry. There needs to be context, the fact that he's playing behind the ball, they're in one of the worst sides. But some of his calls, like the contract calls, saying that we shouldn't be signing players for 7 years. Well, yes, the clubs wouldn't sign the clubs for 7 years, but unfortunately, that's what you have to do in order to keep the player because rival clubs are going to offer more and pay more. You just need to understand where everything is coming from rather than just going for the headline, which I know works. But eventually you're going to start to lose some credibility. You know, I've said that Richmond won't win a game, and I've said that Freo are my premiership favourites, and you know, I've lost credibility for making those big calls. Yes, they get clicks, but it's probably not a good view on myself. So that's my view on Kane. I also respect all you three of what you have to say on it too. Let's move on to Let's Not Be Silly. Coby, you familiar with the segment?
Yep.
Nice. Dean.
Yes, I'll kick us off. Let's not be silly. Fremantle in the AFL. The handling of the Alex Pearce kneecap repost, so I'll just go over that. Kneecap was a band at Coachella. They caused a lot of controversy displaying fuck Israel on the screen. And Alex Pearce reposted their statement. And Fremantle and the AFL were inadequate in making a statement. There's been no response whatsoever. Caroline Wilson, a journalist, has approached them, hasn't got anything. John Longmuir was asked about it on Friday night after the game. He gave nothing, and it's just really not okay and disappointing for a lot of people to see such hate reposted by a captain of the AFL club, which is supposed to embody standards of respect and peace and anything which you can think of is what the captain of a football club is supposed to represent. And just seeing no statement whatsoever is hurtful towards the Jewish community and a lot of fans. And if this was any other minority group, I think the AFL would have handled it by now. So let's not be silly, condemn it, call it out, and be better.
Nice. Thank you, Dean.
Also-
Brodie.
Yeah, so I was standing right next to the race for the umpires at the game, and the security that comes over and just tells us at the end of the game, like, no matter what, don't give it to the umpires. And obviously, I'm not going to. It's not. Yeah, it's not. Anyway, Jack Chris takes a mark, misses the goal. Siren goes, and the umpires start walking to the race, and we get flooded with like the usual Pies fans who come along, like push us to the side and start just abusing the umpires. Is this so uncalled for? Like, imagine having that much hate to go out of your way and just abuse these blokes when the game, like, we had the opportunity to win it. You can't blame, like, yeah, there may have been a bunch of shit calls, which there were. Anyway, it's beside the point. Jack Crisp had the opportunity to win it for us. He didn't. And these people go out of their way to give it to the umpires officiating the game. And I just think it's ridiculous. Let's not be silly.
Very mature call from you, Brodie.
Thanks.
Coby.
Yeah, well, I'll start mine by asking you boys a question.
Go.
How you view umpiring in general in the AFL right now, if it's better or worse than, I guess, when you were growing up.
It's confusing.
Would
It's
you...
definitely lack of
It's
clarity.
the hardest sport to
I'm not
officiate.
saying it's not, but would you say the umpiring today, this week, or last week rather, was good or bad as a whole?
Yeah, it's not great. It's inconsistent.
I tend to agree with that. So my don't be silly call is, and I'm going to wrap around to it, there should be a professional bouncer. Now, what do I mean by professional bouncer?
Here we go.
At the start of every quarter and after a goal, one person whose entire job is purely to bounce the ball runs onto the field, bounces it, runs off. What this does, it allows the other umpires to purely focus on just umpiring. It allows more women to get involved in umpiring because currently most women can't bounce the ball higher enough to the AFL standard that they're not even allowed to, pursue umpiring as a profession. Also, all the umpires that can't bounce the ball well enough, they're told to piss off, even if they're better officiators than the rest of them. So don't be silly. Bring in a professional bouncer and let the umpires do the job of umpiring rather than worrying about actually bouncing the ball and wasting time off the clocks, few seconds here and there, and let them just umpire the game. It's hard enough as it is. Let them focus on it.
Yeah, you've really broadened my horizon now and view on the umpires. Like, it's not just about the decisions. There's actually a lot of skill. Obviously, they run quite a lot, bouncing the ball. There's a lot for them to focus on, and I think if you can try and narrow that for them, that'll probably be best for them. The other thing is they don't have they train out of Marvel, but they're not official tenants of Marvel. So getting a home base for the umpires and being able to train them properly and get real scenarios and practice would be beneficial for them too.
And all these factors compound on them mentally. Razor Ray, I remember, I don't know when, it would have been years ago, he spoke about umpires he knew who would suffer from anxiety purely because of the bounce of the ball. Like, imagine grand final day, you're tasked with bouncing the ball. It's a significant moment in the grand final, the first bounce of the day. And that's just not what umpiring should be focused on.
Now imagine you have one guy who's for the entire season's only job is to bounce the ball. I reckon we'd bring up, I don't know what the percentage is now, I'm not going to lie, but
Would it improve
sure-
the quality? I don't like.
I
Yeah, they
think-
spend more time doing it, but
if you studied for your maths exam
yeah,
for an hour versus 2 hours, I reckon you do better with the 2 hours.
sure.
So if you let the umpires focus on umpiring rather than practicing their bounces.
I could think of some grand entrance, like he comes in off like a...
No, but
And he
Yeah.
drops down from a helicopter, bounces the ball, like gets taken away. And
no, but what they have,
no one knows who he is.
So
They
you have this
his
really
face.
flamboyant person that does like a dance.
but what they have 30 seconds after a goal, plenty of time for someone to run onto the field, bounce it, and run off.
I like it. That's
What
that's
if-
the one.
What if they could do it with technology, like a drone?
If there's a way to do it, I back it. But I just think it's like you all said, it's so hard to umpire the game as it is. Let's just take some pressure off them, get a professional bouncer in, let them focus on umpiring rather than bouncing the ball. And I think there'd be a change also to the quality of bounces and also to the actual umpiring.
No, I love that. That's a great one.
That is a very nice call. I'll finish up. Let's not be silly. Fox Footy Perth bias commentary. Now, I don't want to go after Will Schofield because technically he pays me. But like Schofield, Pavlich, Papalia,
Proceeds to go after Will Schofield.
I'd love to hear a bit of backstory about that.
like when you're watching a West Coast game or a Freo game in Perth, it just feels like you're listening to West Coast TV. And it's really not enjoyable listening to those guys because they know everything about West Coast, but they don't know everything about the opposition team. So I like Papalia, but it's just all he talked about on the coverage was West Coast and what West Coast need to do and how they're going. They spoke obviously about Max Gawn because he was playing well, but it just feels like I was watching West Coast TV and I wasn't a fan of it. I'd rather listen to a more neutral commentary team.
Well, the AFL would want to reduce expenses on travel, and that's
Fair,
what the
fair.
argument against it is.
Fair, but I think the team then just has to do a bit more research into the opposition and try and incorporate their context and their form more into the game.
Just on that, with the NBA season in playoff mode, the NBA has different variations of commentary. So you have the home team where you can just listen to your biased commentators. So I go for Houston Rockets, I can listen to the Rockets commentators. And I think the AFL and SEN have done this a bit with Hawthorn and Carlton. But how cool would it be if you had your own commentators? Maybe not every game, you could get sick of it, but there should be an option to like listen to like D's commentary, and like they would be like the most passionate fans, and you'd be able to listen to them through the TV. It'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, fair enough. Nice call. Yeah, they did it for the final series and it was cool.
Unbelievable. And even go back a few years back when Gary Ablett had 50 against Collingwood. The week after on Foxtel, there was a thing called Ablett Cam.
Yeah, wow.
And all you did was press one of the buttons.
Press
and
red,
the
yeah.
camera would be on Gary Ablett the entire game. It was amazing. 'Cause I was
That's
obsessed
your
with it. I loved
dream.
it. It was my dream. I didn't listen to any of the SEN Carlton stuff because I've been abroad, but that sounds awesome. I mean, that'd be
They got
amazing. As a
thrashed
fan.
by 70 to Hawthorn, so I'm sure it would have been a good listen.
Nah, yeah, can't imagine that one.
Nice. Great collection of Let's Not Be Silly. Well done, Coby. I really appreciated yours. Let's go on to round 9. So, tipping update. The winner for round 8 was Doss Wants the Tip. Now, does anyone know who that is?
That's our mystery man.
A mystery man. Which
We
mystery
don't-
man?
The stat man.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Is it the Doss?
Yes.
Wow.
Kobe knows him.
Yes. Coby knows him well.
AIDS.
Yeah.
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 Nah,
Did
good
you
man.
want me to-
Give him a shout out,
Thoughts on
Aiden.
that tipping
Doesn't
name?
want a shout out.
Aiden.
Doss
Nah,
wants
I'll
the
give him
tip.
a shout out. Good man. Got some Mashiach energy in him.
Yeah,
he
nice.
refuses to come on.
Can
Does he
I?
now?
I'll quickly just give it.
Get him on.
I'll quickly just give it Doss a start of the week, even though it didn't come from him. So Brisbane Lions are first on the ladder. First time in the 8 finals series format that the team on the top of the ladder has the lowest percentage out of all 8 teams in the top 8.
First time ever.
Yeah.
Wow. In any round.
Any round.
Wow.
Cool.
Yeah. There you go. So Doss wants to tip. leads, and I said I was going to mention him again. Jake Rebel is the overall leader.
Rubber.
He's been up there a bit this season, and yeah, he's on 54. I think the next best is 53. I'm not too sure who it is, but I think Eden Cohen's in there somewhere in the top 10. So shout out to everyone.
Robber's a North fan as well, so
yeah.
prize could be good.
Yeah, true. I'm 83rd.
You went down.
Dean's 66th. Brodie, I don't think's in it. Coby, I'm not sure if you're...
Kobe's in trouble, boys.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's that.
Can't be worse than Chase.
Hey, Dean, do you want to read out the games? And we'll... Coby, are you aware of our love-in with the cups?
Which cups is this?
So, essentially, we go through the teams, and we have to try and name players that have played for both teams.
Like the Lockie Schultz Cup.
Sure.
There
Lockie
it is.
Schultz,
Gotcha.
straight away.
Gotcha.
So we started us off there with Lockie Schultz. And I'll go James
James
Ash.
Yeah, I've got one.
Okay.
I'm having a blank though, as I usually do.
Tarrant?
Chris Tarrant, well done.
Ah, past players as well.
Yeah, anyone.
Yeah.
Anyone?
Anyone? Coaches. Justin Longmuir was appointed as being an assistant coach at Collingwood.
Anyone from Collingwood too?
I actually reckon there's a lot that we're missing out on. Midfielders,
We're gonna
forwards.
get memed after this. Someone's gonna.
Yeah,
find a couple
we
that
always
we
miss
really
bad ones, so you kind of
It's
just have to
always
accept
tough
it.
at the
It's
end of the pod.
tough end of the
We're
podcast.
tired.
All right. Tips. I think Collingwood are professional here.
I think Freo have to bounce back.
I want to say the Pies. Just Pies.
I'm gonna go Fremantle as well.
Okay.
They're a
Split.
completely different team at home.
And on the rebound. St Kilda, Carlton.
It's at the G.
Blake Acres.
Yeah, St Kilda centenary match. Blake Acres is good.
Another centenary match.
Yeah, you got Liam Stocker and Paddy Dow. Soon
Let's
to be
go Jack
TDK.
Howell.
Jack Howell, good.
Oh, that's good.
Who else do we have? We had a few.
Who was rumoured to go there? Brodie Kemp, I think, was rumoured last year. Sauce, technically.
Sauce, if you will.
Yeah, big if you will. Brett Ratton.
Brett Ratton, yeah.
Coached
Yeah.
at both. That's borderline not an if you will. Do we do head coaches not an if you will if they've done both?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Any other players?
What if the head coach played at one, coached at the other?
That's
If you
probably an
will,
if you will.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone who understands.
Yeah. I don't think I can think of any others.
I think that's good enough.
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good.
Interesting match.
St Kilda. I think they like playing at the G.
I think they do. I reckon they'll rebound the ball well out of D50 at
Yeah.
the G.
Get Sinclair and Isaiah out of the back half.
I'm gonna go Carlton.
Yeah, I'll back us in as well.
Internal Cup. D's
Yeah, the battle of you
Hawthorn. Battle of Dean and Chase.
Yes.
Quite a few here. Tom Scully, Sam Frost, Cameron Bruce,
Keep on cooking.
James Frawley,
Yeah.
Jordan Lewis.
Yeah. Yep.
Get one in, Dean. Go on.
Oh, come on, Dean.
Do you have one?
No? Oh,
Jack
Dean.
Fitzpatrick.
Good. Okay. Thank you, Dean.
Good on you.
I think that'll suffice.
Hawks.
Yeah.
Hawks, but not confidently.
Yeah. I nah.
Good choice.
I'm gonna tip Melbourne on the podcast, but I'll change it to Hawthorn.
Yeah, you got to say Hawthorn, but like Melbourne at the line type of thing. Like,
Yeah.
I reckon it'll be a strong performance.
If we can score out of the middle, we're a chance. But otherwise, I don't think so. I think Hawthorn are just a much better skilled team. Essendon, Sydney, weird matchup. These guys used to always have close games. Essendon, Sydney, and I'll start the cups off with a Craig Bird.
I'll
Who's
go
their ruckman?
Aaron Francis.
Good.
No.
Bit of
Not the ruckman. That was
Who's
just
the
my cup.
the ruckman. Which ruckman? Goldstein
no,
or Grundy?
No.
Then I can't help you.
Schuster's favourite. He's a goof.
Oh, Phillips, but I don't think he plays
Phillips
for
played
Sydney.
No.
Nah, I don't think so.
Us and GWS.
Sydney, Essendon.
Was it Sydney that years back Dempsey played on as the siren went?
Yeah,
that
yeah,
one?
that was one of them. It was the Gary Rowan after the siren. I think Adam Goods has missed one after the siren.
Did Rampy climb the post?
Rampley
against
climbed
us?
the
yeah.
post.
There you go.
Is this where's this at Marvel? What I liked at the G. All right, let's go tips. Oh, that's what I was
There's a bit
asking the
of
whole
game
of
at
last
this point,
season.
Nils?
I'll go Sydney.
Caldwell back in, I believe, just to make note. And I'll tip Sydney, though.
Yeah,
Sydney?
Not comfortable, but I'll tip Sydney as well.
Okay. Coby, your team, Gold Coast versus Western Bulldogs.
They've been a bit disappointing, the Suns, for me. I mean, they've started... might sound crazy because they've started off nicely, but I don't know. I expected just something last week and just
In the
something
Q5.
against teams. Like, had a bit of an easy fixture, and when it's been, I don't know, push came to shove, I just don't think they've performed.
I'm struggling to think of a cup, though.
Rodney Eade. Coached
Coach
both.
Yep.
Players.
Let's go for players first.
I honestly am a bit stuck.
No, come on.
Not Chris Grant. Jared Grant, the microphone.
Jared Harbrow as well.
Nice. There you go. Yep, that's it. I don't think these two teams trade.
It's pretty hard
Gold
to find
Coast and
Gold Coast
Bulldogs.
ones in general.
Yeah. All right. It's in Darwin. I don't think Gold Coast have lost there yet. They love it there.
Still going Bulldogs.
No. The Darwin Suns.
Yeah, the Darwin Suns, they're different over there.
Different.
In the dew, in
They
front of the...
they stay there for 2 weeks, bit of team bonding. They wear that Indigenous kit.
Is it when's the Doug Nichols round? Is that next week?
Wait, are you sure
You guys
this is
can
like
tip?
their Darwin fixture? Or? I've tipped Suns.
Yeah, it has to be.
Yes.
I'll tip Gold Coast.
I'm gonna go the Dogs. I'm big on the Dogs
Wow.
this year.
Okay. Showdown.
Ooh.
Favorite game of the year. Unfortunately, there's an event on Saturday night, so won't be able to watch again. Feel like
No,
always
you'll
miss
be
it.
able to see
Yeah, I'll
them
watch
tear
it.
us apart.
Yeah, it
Does it
is.
still live up to the hype?
No.
Yeah.
And I reckon it's actually... Sorry, it may live up to the hype. I reckon it is... What's the word
Overrated.
for... No, what's counterintuitive?
Yeah.
Counterproductive? For Port Adelaide, because they hear it every week, so it doesn't really have an effect for them. But for the opposition team, when they travel and go to Adelaide Oval, I reckon it actually gets them up.
Wow.
So a bit of something in that.
Should try asking the opposition player.
Yeah. Well, Harry loved it when he went over there,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure about the cups. Is there?
He loved it as a spectacle, or he loved it just as a...
He just has as a spectacle to get him up for the game. Like
So he felt like it got him up.
yeah, and he was
Interesting.
looking forward to it as well pre-game. Dean, come on.
A cup.
I got one. Billy Frampton.
Yeah, that's the only one I had.
Really? Kane Corns, I think, tried to get traded to Adelaide at one point. That came out recently.
Yeah, too much airtime for that bloke.
Yeah, let's. Anyone else or
Tips.
Crom.
Oh,
I'm going Port.
Adelaide. But is Thilthorpe back?
He was back.
He played, didn't he?
Oh, yeah.
But I'm going to tip Port.
he's Port
He's
Crom.
playing through
Yeah.
a compound fracture.
Wow.
Yeah, he
Just
had a lot
beast,
of tape
that
on his
bloke.
fingers.
He's just a
Wow.
beast.
Is that going to affect him against the Gorilla?
Oh, you didn't factor in
Didn't factor in the injuries.
You had that one all wrong from the start.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure if Neil Bullen, first guy to go, is
You
the
could've
right
picked-
call.
Well, you don't want to sacrifice your big guns early.
You could have picked Gold Coast, let Jed Walter one-on-one the Gorilla, and that's it. You're done.
Oh, yeah, but he's got good chompers now. I don't think he wants to risk it. Okay. Oh, we haven't even got to the Sunday games. Yeah, I'm going to tip Port. I reckon they lift. Richmond, West Coast. Who's
Liam
that?
Baker, Jack Graham.
Yeah. Ben Cousins.
Nice.
Who's the guy got listed from West Coast? Eden, loves him.
Ooh.
Got to listen from both teams. But, was kind of good.
3,
No.
2.
Damn, I'm not going to get it. And it's a really good one.
Small forward?
Small forward, mid half forwardish. I think he's got a Mo.
No.
Damn. All right.
Wow.
Richmond. At MCG, yeah, I'm going Richmond. West Coast are
Diggs.
terrible.
West Coast.
Yeah, Richmond as well. They look good.
Okay, Dean, West Coast. Geelong, GWS at
Canberra.
GMHBA.
Jeremy Cameron.
One of the Hunts, maybe Taylor. No, Taylor was Richmond.
Yeah.
The other big one, the massive one.
Stevie J.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, no.
Shane Mumford started at Geelong.
Yes. Good.
Sausage.
Good chase.
Great.
Sausage.
Come on. Give me another one.
Tip?
Give me another one. Let's go one more. Come on.
There's one more in there. I reckon.
It's one more. One more.
Dawson Simpson, the ruckman.
Yes, very nice team.
Geelong.
Giants like them here, actually.
They're playing.
I'm gonna go Geelong though. Giants are a bit of nowhere at the moment.
Giants.
I'll also go the Giants.
Okay, North Brisbane to round out Ninja Stadium at 4:40 on a Sunday.
The Ryan Bastanak Cup.
Nice team.
Ninjas Hobart, yeah.
Yeah. Walker.
Yep.
What's his first name?
Taylor.
No.
I've got his receding hairline in my
Josh
head.
Walker.
Yeah.
Oh, North Brisbane. North Brisbane. No. Brodie? Have you had a cup yet? I think you had Aish. Brisbane.
I just said Tanner Broom before.
Oh, sorry. My apologies. All right, I'll go Brisbane.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brisbane.
But go North.
Oh, I'm gonna go North. I reckon they got him in Hobart. Yeah.
Ronnie Sher once.
Not the first
Yeah.
guest who's the only one to tip North.
Ronnie
No,
Sher.
back him in.
Okay.
She was right when she did it as
Yeah.
well, wasn't she?
She was.
Oh boy, was she
they'll
right.
have a big comeback after this week.
All right. Thank you, Coby. Thank you, Brodie, for coming back. Dean as well, kind of on the way back too. Been a pleasure, Cobes.
Yeah,
Honestly, it's been great fun.
mate, it was great to have you.
Cheers, boys.
Appreciate
Appreciate
it.
it.
And we'll see you next week.
Peace.